was their review of the White House visitor logs? What was the extent of that review?
I'm sorry, what was
the extent of their review of the White House visitor logs? What made you change your mind to not continue releasing them?
I think, as was noted on Friday, we're following the same policy that every administration from the beginning of time has used with respect to visitors log. We will comply with both the Federal Records Act and the Presidential Records Act as stated by law.
Well, why does the president object to people knowing who is coming in the White House?
Well, it's not a question of objecting. It's about following the law. We're following the law as both the Presidential Records Act and the Federal Records Act prescribe it. So it's the same policy that every administration had up until the Obama administration, and frankly, the faux attempt that the Obama administration put out where they would scrub who they didn't want put out didn't serve anyone well. The president wants to make sure that people can come in the same way they can go into a member of Congress's office, provide information and details, and there's people who want to be able to come have that conversation with members of the administration the same way that they would do with members of Congress, go into their office.
Why didn't he take this opportunity to one-up the transparency game?
Because I think I'm trying to explain that to you. I think that we recognize that there's a privacy aspect to allowing citizens to come express their views, and that's why we maintain the same policy that every other administration did coming up here prior to the last one. And the last one, frankly, was a faux level of doing that, because when you go through and you scrub everyone's name out that you don't want everyone to know, that really is not an honest attempt at doing it. We're going to follow the law the way that every administration has followed up until the last one.
Thanks,
Zeke.
Thanks, Sean. Following on Caitlin's question, the rationale given Friday for the visitors logs reversal was that for both national security and privacy concerns, both of those were clear exemptions in the Obama administration's policy, which led to that scrubbing that you described. So why exactly the reversal? You seem to be describing maybe a third rationale that you're giving.
No, I think I just touched on privacy. That people have a right.
The Obama administration had that exception to their visitors logs.
But I think the problem, Zeke, is that we don't know what the I mean, they said what it was, but you don't know who got left off and who didn't. They chose to not put people out for whatever reason, and they gave an excuse, and no one questioned it. So the question is, but I think the bottom line is, as I said to Caitlin, is that we're going to have the same policy that every president has had through time. And comply with the law on both fronts. I think, but again, you remember, it's interesting that we're following basically the same thing that members of Congress follow. That you go and you meet with a member of Congress right now, that there's an option for people to be able to go and express their opinion if they want to make it public. Who's meeting with them? And in a lot of cases, we do. We bring in you guys to probably a greater extent than it's happened before in terms of pool spray. We list participant lists. But I think there's an opportunity sometimes for the American people who want to come and have a conversation and not become, and be able to share their view. So again, but remember, this is the same policy that every president and every administration has followed.
I'll grant you that, but
Thank you.
This president entered office running a campaign saying he was going to drain the swamp. So under this existing policy, a lobbyist, the president has decried, on the campaign trail and stop a Washington insider, members of, of the swamp can walk into the White House, and there is no recourse for the public to hold the president to account.
I think you guys, the visitor logs to all the White House components, OMB, the Council of Economic Quality, U.S. Trade Representative, Office of Science and Technology. What I'm saying is all of those are subject to the Federal Records Act. We're complying with all that, and we're complying with the Presidential Records Act. My point is that, look, this is the policy that's existed from the beginning of time since they were kept, and through the last one. And the last one was a faux attempt at that. Again, it's not really being transparent when you scrub out the names of the people that you don't want anyone to know were here. And so I think that we've made a decision to stay in line with the law and follow the same procedures that everyone else has maintained. Trey.